All right, bringing back a popular segment. Las Vegas only poker hand. You probably saw that in the title and the thumbnail somehow. I have a lot of shout outs to give. I will pepper the scenes with shout outs, but got a bunch of Las Vegas only poker hands. Been back about a month. A few were in last month's newsletter on my Patreon page. This month, none in the newsletter. Gonna tell them to you in video. Some of these are really good, so let's get into it. First shout out, Floor. I was just leaving Bellagio and the floor said Poker Nomad as I left. Didn't get his name, didn't recognize him, but he was probably talking to me, so shout out to that floor. Let me get the first one here. Okay, on a board of Ace 9 4 9 7, no flush possibility. A guy was heads up in position on the river. The first player bet $35. The second player called. Didn't raise. He didn't fold, but he also did not raise. What did he have? He had pocket aces. He had top set. He only loses to Jack 10, 10-6, 5-6. Didn't put in a raise. He just flatted the $35 and he beat Ace King. If you're in Baltimore, those two hands get all in on the flop. In Vegas, even on the river, not close to all in. Top set, flatted $35 on the river. All right, second one. Second shout out. First, guy I met at Smith's, never got your name. It was the Smith's on Vegas Boulevard and Windmill. I was on my way to play South Point that day. Next hand though, on a board of Ace King 9 4 King. It was three-way on the river. First player checks, second player checks, third player checks and goes to showdown. He could have put in a bet. He chose not to. He checked and went to showdown. What did he have? King Jack for trip kings. His Jack kicker played. He decided it wasn't strong enough for a bet. He checked and went to showdown, and of course he won by a mile. Once I got to South Point that day, Jim was at my table in the 9 seat. I was in the 1 seat, so shout out to Jim. Next hand here. Board was Ace, Ace, Jack, 2-6, no flush possibility. Player is heads up in position on the river. First player bets 5. Second player calls. Only called. Yeah, the pot wasn't huge. I don't know why the pot wasn't bigger up to this point. $5 bet on the river, just called by the player in position. What did the player in position have? The player in position had Ace 9. Trip aces, called the $5. Could have raised to 10, could have raised to 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. Chose to call the $5. And of course, won by a mile. With trip aces, 9 kicker played. Jack on board, 9 kicker in his hand. Trip aces, Jack 9 kicker, called $5 on the river. All right, next one. Shout out is to Brock. Met Brock. For me, it was like a few days ago. I don't know when this video is going up exactly, but met Brock. It's slightly windy. Hope it's not messing up the audio. Next board, Jack 10 5 3 9. No flush possibility. Again, on the river. The player, like most of these hands, heads up in position, facing a check. Checks back. What did the player in position have? He checked back, went to showdown, could have put in a bet. He chose to check and go to showdown. He had top 2 pair. He had Jack 10. I understand you lose to King Queen, but you beat a lot of other hands. You flop Jack 10 on Jack 10 5. Pretty amazing dry run out for your Jack 10. Don't take advantage of it and bet the river. 2 pair was not good enough to put a bet in. Jack 10 checked, went to showdown, and of course was ahead by a mile and won the hand. All right, that day I met Brock, a guy in the 6th seat. I think his name was Leonard. Bravo screen was kind of far away from my side of the table, but he was from Florida. I think his name was Leonard, so shout out to Leonard if that's his name. Next hand though, King 10 3 4 Ace. Like so many of these other hands, no flush was possible. On the river, like in most of the others, heads up in position. The guy in position is facing a bet of $45. He flats. He doesn't raise. He chooses to call the bet of $45. What does he have? He has a set of kings. He flopped top set. On the end, he loses to a set of aces. He loses to Queen Jack. I understand this. He also loses to a wheel, and those are all the hands, literally, that he loses to. What did he beat, though? That's interesting. He beat a set of 4s. For one, I don't understand how they didn't get all in on the turn. Also, missed a pretty amazing chance to win a huge pot by not betting the river, by not raising the river. Mr. King called. but he could have raised. Set to set used to always be all in, and these days, not so often. I mean, in Baltimore, yeah. Council Bluffs, probably. Florida, based on what I hear, yeah. Atlantic City during the summer, definitely. Like in Baltimore, like the table would be on the floor because the guys would just like flip the table over, standing up and like shoveling all their chips into the middle. But nope, out here, it seemed like the guy was a lot closer to folding than raising. I mean, he called, that was most likely if you had x-ray vision and could see the cards. But if you told him you're not allowed to call, I mean, I guess he raises, but it seemed like he was between call and fold, not call and raise. I wasn't inside his mind, but that's what it seemed like to me. Gary was sitting next to me at Aria the other day, so shout out to Gary. Played with him before, you know, recognized him. Never knew his name, never knew he watched the videos, but shout out to Gary. Next one, Ace King 7, King 7. Heads up in position on the river. The player in position is facing a check, and he decides not to bet. He had the option to bet. He could bet or he could check. He didn't choose to bet. He chose to check. He went to showdown. What did he have? He had king jack. He had kings full of sevens. I understand if the pot gets massive, you're in a bad situation. You could be up against quad sevens. You could be up against ace king, so you would lose to kings full of aces. Pocket aces is a better full house also, but to not put in a bet of any amount, you know, put in the smallest amount or the biggest amount you think an ace will call or a 7 will call. Maybe it's on the smaller side as far as amounts go, but put in something. Nope, King Jack decided to check back, go to showdown, of course, won by a mile. Don't remember if I even saw what the other player had. If I did see what the other player had, don't remember, but I mean, you could definitely get value from a 7, and you could even get value from plenty of ace X hands. Kings full decided to check and go to showdown. All right, 2 more hands. Last shout out though, Chris. Actually, when Gary was on my left at that Aria table, Chris was on my right. So shout outs are over, but I do have 2 more hands left. So last one, board of King Queen 8 5 4. Oh, I was in this hand. Okay, so King Queen 8 5 4. I had King 4, and I was first to act on the river. I river 2 pair. Thought I was ahead without it, but river 2 pair anyway. I bet the guy seems so weak. I thought he had like a queen with no kicker. I thought he had like queen 3 or something. So I bet the most I thought I could get a crying call from second pair. I bet 20. Pot wasn't very big, but I bet 20 on this river, hoping to get a call between a hand like queen 3. And the guy was thinking for a while, and I thought he was between fold and call. I actually thought he was gonna fold. Eventually he calls. I flip my hand over with amazing confidence, like I have a royal, and I lose. What did he have? He had a set of queens, which I was amazed to see. Could have been way worse. Like, a lot more money could have gone in flop and turn, and then it would have been really bad on the river. So I was thankful for this one, but still, like, it's tough. It's tough to, you know, go out to play and just think. You know, I used to just think I was gonna like win between like 500 and 1,000 every day, but this was when like people with sets and full houses, you know, wanted to play hands. Queen, I really think like he was closer to folding than raising with his set of queens, and yeah, I didn't expect. Sometimes I'm like, I think I'll win. I'm not gonna win every time. I think I'm winning like 80% of the time, but you know, if I lose, he hit some odd like backdoor, or he like really played a set oddly on the turn or something like that. Oh, I just expected to be ahead every single time on this board, and it actually looked like I bet too much, like he was gonna fold like Queen X for that $20, and then he called, and I expected him to muck behind after I showed the 2 pair, and he showed a set of queens. All right, last one here. Queen 10 5 5 4. No flush. Very rare that a flush is possible in any of these hands. No flush. In position, heads up on the river. A guy was facing a $25 bet, and I actually thought he was not gonna fold. Not like some of these others where I thought he was closer to folding than raising, but it just looked like raising was not an option at all in his mind. It was a pretty quick call. I expected him to have like, I don't know, Queen 8 or something like that. The player who bet showed aces and 5s. The player who insta-called on the river with absolutely no thought to raising had 6-5 offsuit. So he had trip 5s, he won. Interesting, because aces raise pre-flop. That you're calling raises. See, this is weird. People can play however they want. I just have like trouble reconciling what's going on in their mind sometimes. Called a raise pre-flop with 6-5 off. Not the worst. Far from the best. He did have position. But you're calling a pre-flop raise with 6-5 off. Probably not planning to like bluff your way out of it. Probably just planning to... His plan to win was probably just hit the board really hard, which he did, but then chose not to bet it. It was like actually a week or so ago, the Marlins were playing the Mets and walked Alonso to set up the double play, to set up the force on the bases, set up the double play. And then after they intentionally walked Alonso, they brought the infield in and they were gonna go home on ground balls. Why are you setting up the double play if you're not gonna put your middle infielders back and play for the double play? Like, it made no sense. So I don't, man, it's just really confusing and interesting sometimes to call this pre-flop raise with 6-5, just hoping to smash the board. You do it, you hit your trip 5s, but choose to play a pretty small pot and never think about raising. So don't see these hands in other cities. I don't see hands play out like this in Council Bluffs. Don't see it in Atlantic City. Don't see it in Baltimore. Didn't see it in Pittsburgh. Didn't see it at the Hard Rock, Rockford. Didn't see it at Wind Creek in East Hazel Crest. Didn't see it in New Mexico either. In Vegas, it's fairly normal, but still worth telling people, sometimes in the newsletter, sometimes in a video, because I know a lot of people get a kick out of these hands. Glad you enjoyed the video. If you would like even more poker, travel, and Las Vegas content, feel free to go to my Patreon page. There are 3 ways to get there. One is to type the URL that you've been seeing at the bottom of the screen into your browser. A second way is if you go to my YouTube homepage, next to my icon picture, there is a link to my Patreon page. The third way is to watch any video of mine, go into the description box below the video, and you'll see the link to my Patreon page. Once you're on my Patreon homepage, you could click on membership, and you could sign up to be a paid member. The first 7 days are free. It's $5 a month after that. In addition to the free post every Monday, you will have access to the exclusive newsletter published on the first Tuesday of every month. It's a monthly newsletter. Or you could go back to my Patreon homepage and you could just click on shop. If there's a table of contents that you find very interesting that I show at the beginning of a video and you just want to read that one newsletter, you could go to my Patreon homepage, click on shop, and each newsletter is individually available for a one-time purchase for $7. Thanks everybody for supporting the brand.